I'm Hannah.
I'm KG.
And I'm Natalie. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, we are closing out the year with a very special guest to help us ring in 2025. We are thrilled to welcome KG from Living the KG Life podcast. KG is not only a fellow podcaster, but also an incredible runner with a passion for Disney, Boston, and running for amazing causes. In this episode, we chat with her about how she got into running, her journey through runDisney, running for charity, and her Boston Marathon experience. And because you know we love a good snack, we couldn't let KG leave without sharing her picks for the best fights around the Disney parks. It's the perfect way to celebrate the end of an amazing year and get inspired for the next. So lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Well, it's a beautiful New Year's Eve, everybody. So we hope you are enjoying things responsibly. And if you have joined us this week, thank you for making us some of the last things you decided to listen to in 2024. It has been an honor.
And we look forward to you hopefully coming back in 2025. Let's start with our countdowns this week. If this is the first time you're listening, normally we also talk training and like Disney news, but we're all getting prepped up for marathon weekend, so there's not really anything relevant right now. So countdown it is. All right, we have 8 days until marathon weekend 2025. Woo woo! Yay! Oh my God, I can't believe it.
This is wild. Every single one of these date countdowns just feels like we jumped ahead a couple weeks or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just internal panic. We'll push that to the side for now, though, so that we can stay upbeat, stay positive. All right, we've got 30 days until the Disneyland Half Marathon 2025. 51 days until Princess Weekend 2025. Natalie's also freaking out on that one. We've got 93 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2025 and 247 days until a new season with Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon 2025.
Crazy.
We're under 250 now.
Yeah. Whenever you cross the big thresholds, like under your ADR days, which we've been there for Princess for a minute, or under 100 for Springtime Surprise, that's wild. And it'll be even funnier to just watch it go down and down and down and down. Tick.
I can't wait to track. Alrighty. As Natalie says, and I'll let you jump in here, you're going to need to get your news from someone else this week.
Sources include the Monday Morning Monorail podcast or Hyperion Adventures podcast. Great sources of Disney news. Occasionally you can find it with the Delos Diz podcast as well. But they kind of like to talk about, whatever it is that comes to mind. And sometimes it's news and sometimes it's not. But go find your news from someone else.
Alrighty. And with the warmest of welcomes, we have a guest this week to celebrate the end of the year. KG! Woo!
Woo!
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
You want to tell everyone a little bit about who you are in case they don't know? Which would be wild because you've existed longer than we have.
Oh, geez. I'm Kristen, or KG, and I'm the host of the Living the KG Life podcast. That's the good TLDR. We started the podcast in August of 2021, I think, right? Yeah, like 2021. This year was 3 years, which is pretty wild. I am an annual pass holder at Disney World, big runDisney runner. So annual pass holder at Disney World, avid runDisney runner. I own at Bay Lake Tower for my DVC, which is another exciting, fun part of my Disney life, I guess. And yeah, it's kind of like my Disney world, if you will.
And are you a silver cruise member now? Because you've gone on 2 cruises?
Yes, literally just hit Silva status recently, which is so exciting. Just got off my second Disney cruise.
Amazing.
Yes.
I cannot wait to hear all about that.
I love when you log into like Disney Plus or any of your other accounts and it shows you like all the different memberships that you have. And mine's just like a consistent running list of every membership you could possibly have. I'm like, yep, got
It's
that one too.
stacked.
Yep, right.
Someone wants
AKA
gift
it's a
Club
problem.
33, like just let me know.
That's
No
like
problems.
the last one down the list.
That final Infinity Stone.
Yes.
Gotta go hunt down Vision for that one. All right. So there's a whole lot of Disney going on here. So I want, let's dive into some of the lore here. So
Ooh.
we'll
That's
start,
Natalie's favorite word.
it's my word of the month. So I'm going to have to get a new one for next month. We'll see what it is. But how did Run Disney come into your life?
Great question. I never used to run ever in my entire life. I did all different sports growing up. I was a cheerleader for most of my life. I was a taekwondo athlete. I trained for 13 years in taekwondo as well. So I really kind of ran the spectrum, no pun intended, in terms of sports, but I always hated running. And in 2017, one of my friends was like, for my birthday, we're all going to do a 5K. And I was like, dude, why? Why are we doing this? And he was like, it'd be so fun. We'll all dress up. His birthday's in October. So it was like a Halloween costume themed race. I love Wonder Woman, another part of the KG lore. In addition to Disney, Wonder Woman is a big one for me. So I was like, all right, I'll dress as Wonder Woman. I'll do my first 5K. I did the Couch to 5K program. And I was like, let's do it. Because I'm the type, if I'm going to do something, I'm doing it. So I did it. And at first, as soon as we were done, we all went to brunch. And I was like, I will never do that ever again. That was horrible. I hated it. And then literally one of my good friends, actually his wife, who's another one of my good friends, was like, I know you. You're going to love this. You're going to want to do them all the time. You're going to do charity races. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, I will literally never run again. I want to die. And literally like 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, well, it wasn't that bad. Maybe I do want to do it. She was like, I knew it. I knew you would do this. And I was like, I just want to like see what else is out there. And obviously having like gone to Disney World my entire life, poking around at like all different types of races, I actually found the Summer Virtual Series in 2018. That was the very first race that I participated in for Run Disney. And I found that Princess was coming up that February. And I was like, that sounds like my dream. Big Disney princess girl. So I was like, okay, I will run Princess 2019. I'll use this virtual series to like train, hold myself accountable. And then it literally just never stopped from there. And I have done all different kinds of races here at home, down at Disney World, did my first Disneyland race this year. And very similarly, it was one of those like, I did my first race and I was like, oh my gosh, this was so fun. I was signed up for the 5K and the 10K. And I think I've told this story a couple times, but my cousin and I that I went down with, we drank around the world the day before the 5K. And we were like, it'll be fine. No big deal. We woke up and we were like, no, absolutely not making it. Went back to sleep, skipped the 5K, and I did the 10K. So it was the Princess 10K of 2019 that really hooked me. And after that, I was very similarly like, I'm just going to do Princess weekend. Then like themes came out. And I was like, well, what if I try this weekend? What if I do something different? And what if I want to run my first marathon? And if I'm doing a marathon, I might as well do Dopey. And the spiral just takes you from there, you know?
I feel like we have very similar thought patterns.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how Run Disney came into my life and why it's still here. Causing havoc.
I think that's how my boyfriend sees it as well. He agreed to one Run Disney weekend, which has now turned into multiple years in a row, which has now turned into almost every race this season for me, and it's just slowly escalating.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where I feel like Natalie and I have talked about this a lot, where it's like it turns into the, well, I might as well. If I'm already going, what's the big deal if I do one additional race? Or I already am doing almost all the race weekends. I might as well do another one. And it just makes it so easy to, like, the add-on itis that a lot of folks talk about with DVC is literally, I feel like, spilling over into Run Disney so bad.
Yeah. And we all started doing this podcast, and that gave me like some license, not really, but in my brain it did, to like keep signing up for more and more and more. I was like, but we need content for the podcast. That's not true. We have plenty of
1000%.
content.
Otherwise, I'm gonna keep yapping about things. So the
I love it.
add-on-itis is so funny, especially because it's the Club Run Disney like add-on like too, where we're
Yes.
both gold members. So it's like, oh well, like if I do 2 weekends or 3, that's a little bit more value for that early entry membership or the value
Mhm.
from the early registration.
I have early registration. I might as well sign up. And you're like,
Well,
no, that's not the thought process.
a few weeks ago when it was Disneyland Halloween half registration, I did open it up and I had the screen in front of me and I had the rush of like having a Run Disney screen in front of me to register for. And I know I couldn't do. I knew I couldn't do it, but I still looked. I was like like I had the rush. I had to open up the link a little or just to
I'm shocked I didn't get a text. So I feel like I usually either get a text that's like, KG, I'm on a page, or it'll be, I just did something I shouldn't have done.
see Marathon Weekend 2024 where
Whoops.
yes, where KG was one of the first messages that I'm like, I'm doing Goofy this year because I sat and I spiraled. I spiraled for a few hours, then it closed, and then I'm like, you know what? If it comes up again, I'm going for it. So we'll see if we have a similar thought process for Springtime Surprise since it finally sold out for the challenge.
Yeah. I will say the best thing that I've done for myself is I just won't open the email, or I'll open it and close it. Because the more I look at it, the more I think about it, the more I justify it. And then I'm back.
At least when a weekend where I really like, I know that it's just can't. And it's also the Disneyland versus Walt Disney World too, where Disneyland, it's like, okay, I don't have a pass there. I will, I have to buy tickets. Then again, there's the trade off there of like, I usually have enough points to cover my stay for like just hotel points from other travel. So I'm like, then there's that, there's that up of it. But it's like, I can usually justify it a little bit better of like what the differences are versus Walt Disney World of like, well, like I have a pass. So
What's the travel difference for you between going from where you are to Disney World versus Disneyland?
That's a fantastic question because I haven't gone direct either way. It probably
Interesting.
isn't that different because so there's like
I
one
feel like you're
direct.
dead center.
Yeah. I think because there's one direct from Omaha to Orlando, and I haven't taken it yet because I'm bougie with my other airline affiliations. And then there's one direct from Omaha to LAX, and I went directly from Orlando to Anaheim last year. So I didn't find out what that was.
Oh, that's right.
I was going to, and thank goodness I didn't because we got a really bad snowstorm to the point where my boss even said, I'm glad you're not coming back because you probably wouldn't get out."
Yeah. That's, I think, a big one for me being just outside of Boston. It's just so much easier to go to Disney World.
Yeah.
Going all the way to Disneyland, which all the way sounds like so dramatic, but it is literally double.
Cross country.
It's double the flight. So I feel like that's always something where I'm like, oh, do I really want to make that long of a trip?
Well, I can drive to Disney World. So it's the difference between, do I want to hop in the car or do I want to hop on a plane?
Like a 6-hour flight. Yeah.
And I used to have to do that a lot. My parents lived in California for a while. That would have been a prime time to run, but I wasn't running back then. And so I guess I kind of wasted that opportunity.
Way to go, Past Hannah. Way to go.
You don't know what you don't know, but dang it.
Yeah.
I think timeline wise, though, I think that might have been during Disneyland's lull of Run Disney. Anyway, so to make you feel better, make Past Hannah feel better.
Yes.
So we've talked a little bit about Run Disney. You've always been a big Disney fan.
Mm-hmm.
If you could be in the park like right now, and let's pretend it's not New Year's Eve, like it's like a more normal park day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with like what are you doing? What are you snacking on? And we can even go like one in each park if we don't want to make decisions, because who wants to make a decision on the last day of the year?
Great question. I actually have always said I would love to do New Year's Eve in Disney World. I think the crowds would probably be a little bit too much for me. Like, I was saying this to somebody the other day at work. They were like, "How is going to a place like Disney World relaxing to you? There's just so many people." And I was like, "I don't know, you just almost kinda, like, forget." I guess, like, you just
Yeah.
get so used to it that it doesn't seem that crazy, but I feel like New Year's would be one of the times that it'd be, like, probably a little bit too much for me. But Magic Kingdom is where I love to be. I would sit on Main Street and people watch and eat cheeseburger spring rolls all
Amen.
day by myself if need be. Like, that is the dream. And the other snack that I love in Magic Kingdom, it kind of feels like a deep cut, and people are like, "What are you even talking about?" It's in Tomorrowland, Auntie Gravity's ice cream parlor, like, right next to the good bathrooms when you get into Magic Kingdom from a race. The small little teeny ice cream shop, and then they have a chocolate milkshake. It is the best chocolate milkshake to get in Disney World. That's one of
Well,
my hot takes.
we're
I
adding that
love
to the
it.
list.
Yes.
It is so good.
Like better than the beaches and cream ones too.
I honestly I haven't had a beaches and cream one in a while,
Yeah,
but,
same.
like, that is still my go-to. Like, when I go to Magic Kingdom, those are the 2 things I always have to get. And I will say the cheeseburger spring rolls was actually Amanda from Once Upon a Marathon.
Oh,
When we first connected on Instagram back in the day, I had done, like, one of those solo days in the park, planned my day for me, and people were just dropping stuff into a question box. And Amanda had put in, "You have to go get cheeseburger spring rolls." And I was like, "Never even had that. Like, what is it?" And it has literally been a game changer for me. So, like, before that, the milkshake was my go-to. So, the cheeseburger spring roll has, like, risen to that level for me.
my God, I need one right now.
Yes, it's so good.
I think it sounds like a really good combo. You just need, like, you get your burger, your fries, your milkshake when you go to, like, a diner or whatever.
Exactly.
Now we just need, like, I guess kind of because the burger is inside of a spring roll, that's kind of the fries as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what do you think? Have you ever dipped your spring roll into the milkshake?
Oh, no, I feel like I always get them separate. Maybe I will
Alright, I'm
have to
adding
do
that
that
to
on
the
my
list
next trip.
too.
Marathon weekend or Princess weekend. Maybe Marathon weekend. We'll all go to Magic Kingdom together, and we'll do it together.
Same.
Yes. Done.
We're
I would
stretching our legs between races
Yes.
and
By walking from Adventureland to Tomorrowland for more snacks.
Yeah.
exactly.
I would say Epcot, another, like, random snack that I love is during Food and Wine in Canada, they always have a filet medallions with mashed potatoes.
Mm.
Ooh.
That is always a big one for me, especially by the time I'm done drinking around the world. Steak and potatoes is my jam. Hollywood Studios, I feel like I always, for some reason, end up getting popcorn in a Hollywood Studios. Like, I'll fill my popcorn bucket at Hollywood Studios more than any of the other parks. And Animal Kingdom, all of my girlfriends that we do our girls trip with is gonna be like, "If you don't say Mexican street corn," they're gonna be very upset.
Didn't they change it recently though?
I honestly, I don't know. I normally don't get it.
Oh, okay.
But the group that I go with, that's like they are diehard for the street corn. One of the things that I do love at Animal Kingdom, it's not a snack, but I will almost always try to get it, is at Tusker House. And if my sister's listening, she's gonna laugh. They have the old school Disney nuggets. Like not chicken strips, chicken nuggets. The Diz Nugs. You can still get them at Tusker House. Those
BRB.
faces, yes, that's why one of the old reasons I love Tusker House. Now, it's like a wildly different option of like the rest of the food that's at Tusker House. All the other stuff is great, but I will always be like, "Can we also get an order of the chicken nuggets?" And they're like, "Who's it for?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's for me. It is absolutely not for a child. It's for me, to be clear." And they're like, "Because you owned up to it, absolutely." And it comes in like one of those big, like shareable, like plates that they
Mhm.
give at Tusker House, full of chicken nuggets.
Wow.
So that's my favorite thing in Animal Kingdom is going to Tusker House for the good Diz Nugs.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna have to do that too. My boyfriend and I are really big on chicken nuggets, so you kind
Oh,
of hit on like two of our
yes.
favorite things. Our very first date, we ate Taco Bell and McDonald's. We put chicken nuggets inside of a
I love that.
taco, so like we like chicken nuggets.
I love that so much. Everybody always makes fun of me. Chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, chicken strips, chicken fingers. That is me. Like,
Mm.
you know those memes where it's like you go to a restaurant and you look at the menu and you're like, what am I gonna get? Full well knowing you're probably just gonna get the chicken tenders. That's me. Always. But the old school Disnugs that they used to have, RAP, that they used to have everywhere, that's still something I'm very sorely upset about that you can't get everywhere in Disney World.
That just scratched an itch that like I forgot about of the old
Yeah.
school nuggets.
Mhm. And certain places, and it will be very specific if they have them on the menu, it'll say nugget versus strips.
Ooh.
I could do an entire episode strictly on chicken tenders, chicken strips, and chicken nuggets at Disney World. So,
We'll add that to the follow-up list of
Yes.
episode ideas.
next episode.
Like International Chicken Nugget Day. Like it's gonna be a collab.
Yes.
Wait, that's
I'm
incredible.
gonna figure out when that is.
Yes.
I'm sure it's a real thing.
We'll pencil you in. Wait, now I have so many follow-ups for like deep cut snacks and stuff like that. Cause there is stuff where it's and it doesn't even have to be a deep cut, but certain things that are because
Just
so
like random.
my mom is very passionate about frozen cokes and
Ooh,
soft serve.
She knows every location.
Every location you can
I
find.
love it.
Frozen Coke and soft serve. And I know like the truck not too far from Everest. It's the Anandapur truck is one of her favorite places for the soft serve in Animal Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
And like she's very passionate about this. So like I'm trying to think of other do you have any other like deep cut like meal, snack, etc. This is making me so happy and hungry.
Me personally,
Yes.
I feel like those are my big ones. I'm a big steak person, like typical meat and potatoes. I'm in Le Cellier in Epcot, bomb steak. The other place that I love their steak, filet specifically, is my favorite cut of steak. Citrico's at Grand Floridian
Ooh.
is incredible, and you can get their full menu if you sit at the bar. So
Whoa.
if it's full or there's no reservations, you can, if you get there right when they open, you can head right to the bar and get their full menu. So my friend Meg and I have done it where like we were leaving that night. We're like, we need a good meal. Let's go to try to get into Citrico's, and literally just ate like full dinner fillets at like 4 in the afternoon and then hopped on our flight, and it was beautiful.
That's
So I feel like finding a good steak in Disney World is another big one. Like that's my spectrum. Chicken nuggets to steak. That's where you can usually find me and what I'm usually eating in Disney World.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think. There's a couple ones that I have. Like, I really like the chicken sandwich at Connections Cafe in
Ooh.
Epcot. And I know Connections kind of got a lot of flack when it opened,
Yeah.
but it's really, really tasty. I've never had, like, I've had it a couple times and it's never been bad. And I've always been very, like, and I know to expect it's good, but it still hits. And I think it's partially the sauce, which you can get for
Yeah.
your fries as well. It's very good.
And what kind of chicken sandwich is it?
Fried, grilled.
It
Baked.
is breaded. I have to actually look because then I've also gotten the General Tso's like salad, like chicken salad when that's like breaded chicken on a big salad. They're
Yeah.
very good. So it like little like things where I was like, wow, like I didn't expect because also like I feel like you can't get that many chicken sandwiches in Disney
Yeah.
parks either. Now that I think about it, I can't think of somewhere else where I can except for maybe some sit downs. I'm sure like Sci-Fi has a chicken sandwich along with the burgers.
Yeah.
But I don't go to Sci-Fi and not get a burger. So
What about like overhyped? What do you think is a snack that like people talk about and rave about, and you think is just like, eh?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm very much a whatever you like, you like.
Oh
I
yeah,
love that. I love
Oh,
we're
that
not
for you.
yucking anyone's yum.
Yeah. I will say something that I love that people think is overhyped is Mickey waffles. I will eat a Mickey waffle anywhere at any time. And it is, I feel like my body is literally now trained after a race is like I'm on the bus, mobile ordering. Usually, because if I'm at like the All-Star, like the bounty platter where it's like
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Mickey waffles, eggs, bacon, another deep cut of a great snack at Disney World is the tater tots or the potato barrels. Especially
Mm.
after a race, those potato barrels, sometimes
So
I've
good.
ordered just 2 orders of just the potato barrels and taken a shower and sat in my bed eating a box full of potato barrels.
Amazing.
Also
That's
delicious.
awesome.
But yeah, I would say I feel like Mickey waffles is definitely one that I love, and a lot of people are like, "They're not that good." And I'm like,
No, no, no.
"You
It's
shut
not
your
a Disney
face."
trip without
Yes, they
them.
are. Some places overcook them a little bit. I will give them that. But
Mm.
for the most part, they're my favorite.
It hits. And
Yeah.
they're so good.
And Boma, the last girls' trip that we did, we went to Boma, and they had Simba Mickey waffles.
Oh.
Or just like a Simba waffle. It was like almost more like a
Wow.
pancake because it was just like a flat circle and it had Simba on it. And
Mm.
then where did I see mini waffles? Maybe on the cruise that I went on. Disney Cruise Line might have mini. I'm gonna have to find that
I
out.
want a mini waffle.
Wait, have you ever had the Disney churro waffles? I hear about the churro waffles on Disney Cruise Line.
I did not have them on the cruise. I feel like they're also like hard to find. It sounds like they're not
Yeah.
maybe out all the time, and you have to like hit cabanas at the right time.
Yeah, it's
to
something
get
like
them.
that. Just something I hear other people talk about, churro waffles.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else has mini waffles because I know I've seen the mini
Somewhere else
version,
has them.
like going through my mental catalog of different breakfasts I enjoy. Because I think at Ohana they do like a little stitch on them. It's been a minute since I've been to Ohana because my cousin and I made it a
Same.
point to do like a circuit when they were starting to announce the characters coming back to dining places. We did a circuit of those places before because we were like, we like character dining, but it was one of
Yeah.
those like I don't need to like wait for Stitch and Company to come back, but I do want to eat at Ohana.
Yeah. Knowing that it'll be crazy.
Yes, because we tried to get to Crystal Palace before that happened, and then we didn't. Because I heard a lot of people say that post-COVID Crystal Palace is super good. It's like surprisingly good. But I haven't been there yet.
I've eaten there a couple times post kind of like COVID reopen, and I thought it was great. I am also one of those people like I said, I don't eat like super crazy, so I feel like I'm like a fairly plain eater. AKA my family calls me Plain Jane. So I have to tell you where my food palate lies of like, an elementary school kid. But I feel like I've never had like a bad meal at Disney World, truthfully.
No.
Disney Cruise Line, everything I ate was delicious. Disneyland, everything I ate was so good. Like, I feel like I truly haven't had anything I was like, I would never eat there again. If I did ever say that, which is very possible, I forgot about it, which means it couldn't have been that bad.
I think the only thing I can ever recall that I didn't love was we went to the food court at Port Orleans. I think we were staying at Riverside, and we got a bowl of gumbo. And I think it was just because it was the end of the night. It was a little too salty because I think it was the bottom of the pot, but it was still good. So, and we still go back. So
Like, I'm still eating it, so it's not that bad.
it wasn't that bad.
Oh, the things I would do to be at Disney right now.
Yes.
Like
Just
going for
eating all the food.
my snacks. Or one of my very favorite things is the pulled pork nachos from Captain Cook's at the Polynesian.
Oh.
Because I have a little ritual. It like started like as not like as an offhand thing a couple times, and then it kind of turned into. So I'll mobile order them. I pick them up. I ride the monorail back to the Magic Kingdom for Festival of Fantasy, and I just sit there eating my nachos while I'm watching Festival of Fantasy come down the end of the parade route.
Good.
Oh, so good. The Thai meatballs there are really good too. Mr. Natalie quite enjoyed them.
Mr. Natalie.
By the time I got them back to Shades because he had already gone back and I was doing the mobile order. They were kind of lukewarm as food is, and he was like, "No, these are still so good. Like you should see them in their final form." When I'm sitting outside at the Poly, looking at the pool, like just enjoying the vibe. When they're nice and warm.
I love the spiral that we've gone down. Another snack that is gone from Disney World that I'm upset about is at Friar's Nook in Magic Kingdom. They used to have buffalo chicken tater tots.
Oh,
Yes.
We only had them, I think, one trip. I had never seen them before, and I have not seen them since.
tragedy.
Literally tragic. Every time I go, I check just in case, and there'll be some other random buffalo chicken snack. I'm like,
But
no,
not.
I will eat probably like anything buffalo chicken. I just want the tater tots.
Do you think you could MacGyver your own buffalo chicken tater tots then if there's some other snack? Like, could you build it yourself?
At Disney World or at home?
Yeah, at Disney World.
Oh,
Oh, no, you could definitely build it at home.
I don't know. At Disney World, I don't know. I feel like you'd have to like get potato barrels
Mm-hmm.
at your resort, bring them in, get some other buffalo chicken snack, and then put them on your tater tots.
Yeah.
And then maybe find like a ranch dressing at like Cosmic Rays, and then put it on the tater tots, and then put your buffalo chicken on it.
Something they used to have at, or okay, maybe they still have it, but ABC Commissary in Hollywood Studios, which that's another one that got like really good post COVID.
And like wildly changes their menu, because that used to be
yeah.
like plain hamburgers, plain hot dogs, chicken fingers, like super plain. And now they've got like some spice in there.
Yeah, so they definitely, at least they used to have a buffalo chicken sandwich.
Ooh.
That actually was pretty good. So, like, I'm thinking get like a mobile order of Woody's tachos or like plain tacho, like a side of plain tachos, kind of get your little buffalo chicken sandwich. And then I'm
Yep.
sure between the two of them, you can get some ranch. We
Yes.
can MacGyver this.
They have to have ranch at the commissary. They've got
Oh, yeah.
salad.
Yeah.
They
I
got
feel like we have
ranch,
a
or I do.
good food mission, I feel like, for marathon
Mhm.
weekend.
Yes.
If you can't tell, I like to create my own adventure.
I love it.
Snack around the parks instead of drink around the world, we're gonna snack around.
Yes.
Snack around the quick services or something. We're going to table that. That is amazing. To kind of bring it a little bit back to Run Disney, what are some of your favorite places to eat like pre-race?
Like the night before.
Yes.
Night before, or I would even say like a couple nights before, depending on what you're running.
I'm definitely like a standard love pasta before races, regardless of the distance. Like I will eat the night before a 5K like I am eating the night before a marathon. Like I am like, I gotta go. I love Tony's actually in Magic Kingdom. Their chicken parm is really great. Chicken parm is also, I feel like, what I usually go for a pasta dish before a race. Trattoria Il Forno over on
Boardwalk.
the boardwalk is great. And then what's the one inside the Swan?
That's not Il Muno, is it?
Yes.
Or,
Let's look that up.
well,
What is
or
it
no,
called?
or is it Shula's? That's
No,
the steakhouse.
Shula's is a bomb steakhouse. We went there a couple years ago for my birthday. Also very good. Very expensive, but very good. Il Molino is just came to me. Il Molino is in, I think it's either the Swan or the Dolphin. I always get them confused. It's in one of the two. Also really, really great pasta.
Ooh, I've never heard that as a recommendation before.
Il Molino.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's in terms of like for pasta.
Maybe
also-
we should go post pop-up.
It's also it's very easy to get a reservation there because you can either book it on the app, or if you can't get on the app, you can call them since it's not an official Disney restaurant. Sometimes they have other reservations, so you can call them and book one too.
Ooh.
Just got to get over my anxiety of calling people on the phone.
Yeah.
Like walk up after the pop-up, like, hi. Will you feed me? Because
They also have a lounge bar area. I have not eaten there, but I would guess you could probably get a lot of their food at the lounge too.
Ooh.
Yeah, their bread, their pizza, and their pasta is really good. Their chicken parm, like the chicken was massive.
The
Like,
size of your head.
yes, huge. So if you're a chicken parm person, also really good there.
I am a chicken parm person.
Yep.
Same.
It-
That's what I
different.
get when we go to, where do we go? What's the name of it? Why am I
Carolina?
blinking? Thank you.
Yeah. The one at Maria and Enzo's is really good too, the chicken parm.
Yes.
I was so positively pleased by that because we decided to divert from our normal Terralina to go to Maria and Enzo's for Princess this past year. And it wasn't like I was but it was like, wow, this was really good. So it's in the rotation, but
Love it.
you know me, I'm superstitious.
Yep.
So for the marathon, it's Terralina, baby.
I've
It's
actually never
Terralina.
eaten at Terralina.
They do a runDisney discount of 20% usually. Check the event guide for
Really?
details. But yeah, they will just usually because like people wearing their t-shirts or whatever, and they don't really. But yeah, you just say, "Hey, I'm running the races this weekend," so it's the 20% over, which is bigger than your
Nice.
10 for it being an AP.
Love that.
Yeah, it's super nice. It's funny because like as like the crowds like kind of come in for the post marathon or pre-marathon meals, I'm sure they're like, why are there so many people here at 3 p.m.?
Yeah.
No,
All
it's
the
just
early
me
bird
there.
specials.
Yeah. I'm finally coming around to grandma dinner. The very first race weekend I ever did that my boyfriend came, we went and Natalie got us into it, and she was having early 3 p.m. dinner or whatever, and we were just like, yeah, no, we can't do that. And then this year for Princess, we went sort of as her like bachelorette thing, and again, she had like a 3 or a 3:30 dinner, and Ben was like, no. But this year for Wine and Dine, I finally jumped on the train.
I feel like what helps is if you eat a big breakfast, so especially if you're doing a multi-race weekend, eating a big breakfast, and then whether you go to the park and have like a cheeseburger spring roll or like a small snack, then like the grandma dinner won't feel as bad because you can have a big hefty meal like a big chicken parm with bread with some kind of dessert, and then you're like, I'm actually good. I feel like it's
Mhm.
when I don't eat enough before I try to eat a big early dinner that I feel like my stomach by like 10 o'clock is like, wait a second, we didn't eat enough. And it gets nervous.
Yeah.
You're like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop.
I gotta go to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of starting to experiment with the like super or even like a giant lunch and then like planned
Yeah.
leftovers. Because during my first dopey weekend, I did polite pig, like I did takeout, and I had like stuff to munch on throughout the next couple of days where I mostly did the sides because the sides are so good. But I had like stuff to munch on like as I was getting ready or for bed too. Or it is dinner and
Yeah.
getting ready for bed at the same time. That's just how it needs to be. But it was a really good like little hack there that I actually enjoyed doing. So I'm like trying to, because then also I was like, oh, I want to go to the Rise and Run meetup, and like that's like that and old lady dinner. Like I always got to do like we're fighting a little bit, but yes, no old lady dinner.
That's actually, I think, one of the hardest things with old lady dinner is
Yeah.
that so many of the meetups are like 2 p.m. And you're like, okay,
Mhm.
well, I gotta go. I gotta go
Mhm.
eat and get myself to bed.
Yeah, it's like I actually have to go to my 3:30 p.m. dinner. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
need to leave, or I need to leave, or I'll be late because I have to or I have to have my 2:30 dinner. So trying to plan around that because there's so much fun stuff to do, and
Yeah.
so it's like such an abundance of like fun people to be around. It's like, how do I make it to all of them?
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So since we're in the running type of topic again,
Mhm.
We're adjacent at least.
we are adjacent. Talk to us a little bit about some charity running that you've done. Kind of, we'll start with your dopey journey 2 years ago.
So Dopey 2023 was the first time I ever ran a marathon or even like wanted to be honest. It was one of those things where I had done a lot of races, a lot of challenge weekends, and eventually I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like I want to do it. Let's make this happen. And my family has a trust for pancreatic cancer research at Mass General Hospital here in Boston. And we had a 5K that we ran for years. And I'd always said if I ever ran a marathon, I would run in honor of my late Aunt Kathy, who founded the trust and uh, really put everything together and kind of got our family on this mission to raise funds for pancreatic cancer research. And we were talking about it a lot, and I was like, there's so many people that run Disney for different charities. Like, we should try to get in as a charity. So, did all the research, hopped on a bunch of the calls, and finding out kind of like how the charity program works and how our trust works. We're like, it's just going to be too hard because basically the charities have to buy all the bibs,
Mhm.
and then they get essentially reimbursed when you register through them. We're like, we don't have that, like, all of our money is literally going to research. And so far we've
Mhm.
raised over $1.5 million for Mass General Hospital, which is
Wow.
incredible. Our aunt, when she started it, said she had a goal of raising $1 million. We were like, are you crazy? Like, what? So it's really wild to see how far it's come. But, a lot of it is like the money goes directly to research. We're like, we don't just, have money in the account to do something like that. And I was blown away by the minimum number of bibs that you have to buy as a Run Disney charity, which totally makes sense, with how they want to run the program. So I had it in my mind. I was like, okay, if we get in, I'm going to run the marathon. I'm going to do it for Granara Scary Trust. And then it all kind of fell apart. And I was like, well, I already have it in my mind that I'm going to run. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to sign up myself and I'm going to run. And I was like, I will just set up a fundraising page on our page. And my goal initially was to raise $5,000. And then everybody's like, you can do more than that. And I was like, but can I? Like, I don't know. So my goal ended up being 10. And it was actually kind of nice because it was just kind of like, putting an amount on there, but I wasn't really as like beholden to it because it wasn't like an official charity bib.
Mhm. Mhm.
And being able to run like for my aunt and knowing that was something like she was the type of person that like she would have been in purple shirts with purple mini ears with a purple cowbell, like going crazy. It really was such a impactful way for me to run. I feel like Natalie and I talked so much about that during like that whole training season, and it was really a great way for me to like root why I was doing the marathon, because it was like everybody's always like, do you love running? I'm like, no, I don't. I'd never have gotten like the runner's high. Like I wish I did, but I don't. I'm just always like really proud of the work that I put in and what I'm able to accomplish. So being able to say that like I did that for my aunt was amazing. And I ended up raising over it ended up being like $24,000 for pancreatic cancer research.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then I ended up getting an anonymous donation as well. So my total ended up being over $46,000 for pancreatic cancer research. And we found out after I finished the race, my dad's other sister called me and was like, "Are you sitting down?" And I was like, "Yes, I can't really walk right now. I'm just hanging, eating chicken fingers." And she told me about the donation, and it was a pretty wild wrap to the weekend. But it's really been such a fun way. I've always loved being able to be a part of any kind of like philanthropic efforts and running events or participating in events. So it was a really exciting just kind of like push, right? Every time I was like, I really don't want to get out there and run, especially like in Boston in December. Really not super warm or exciting to get out there. It was just such a great way to put like that fire in me to like really, do it for a cause and do it for a reason. And I don't know how much you want me to talk about like fundraising stuff, like how I've done a lot of it, but what's exciting from there is 2024 I was able to run the Boston Marathon with Dougie's team, which is the Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism. Ran that in honor of my nephew who's on the spectrum, and my brother Jimmy and I ran together, which was really exciting. And it was a tough day for me. I ended up actually having to drop just after mile 14. But this year, I'm going to actually be back running 2025 with Dougie's team, which is so exciting. So I have a goal of raising $10,000 for Doug Flutie Jr. Foundation for Autism, again, this coming April. And again, it's one of those things where I was like, okay, one, I'm going to do this for Nate and all the family members and friends that we have that are affected by autism, and all of the incredible adaptive athletes that run for Dougie's team are literally like the best. They are just so much fun to have on our team, and some of them are literally just they are the most incredible athletes. Like I watch them when they post their runs and their times, and I'm like, oh, you what in the world? Like they are just incredibly inspirational, and hearing them talk about how impactful the Flutie Foundation has been on them and their lives and helping them to, really live life to the fullest is what the Flutie Foundation really talks about for folks with autism. And again, that's just been such a nice way to push myself differently than just like, all right, so I've done a marathon, I've done dopey. Now it's like, how can I do those things and have an impact, in different communities that are really impactful or important to me. So on to the next one.
Oh, I love that. 2025 is our first star year, baby.
Let's
First
go.
stars.
First
Hannah
and
already has the
honestly,
star.
first and last. I will Boston will be I am finishing and then I am finishing. I'm like I will be like jaunting some nice 5 and 10Ks I think for a while. And I will still fundraise. I will do all of those things. Getting old, man.
I'll be proud of you, but I'm also not going to hold you to that.
Yeah. I said that after like every race. I'm like,
Yeah.
never again. And here we are.
It's
I
what I said.
remember distinctly post dopey when they were bringing up Disneyland, and you're like, well, I signed up for Dumbo Double Dare. I'm like, remember when you were saying you were doing 5Ks and 10Ks from now on?
Yeah, I think that's been probably one of the worst parts of the podcast. Is everyone's like, you said it on this episode at this timestamp. And I'm like, shoot, I did say that. So now I'll be like, I reserve the right to change my mind. But this is how I feel today.
Yes.
But Boston was tough for like the training time. I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier too, of like, does the training cycle time impact your decision to run? And Boston is hard. Like running.
It's a hard course in general, though, too.
Yeah. And I only made it, like I said, a little over 14 miles. And I was like, oh gosh, there's still a whole nother half of a marathon over there. Whereas like my brother is the type, he's the complete opposite. Like I said, we both ran for Dougie's team last year. And he ran the half during marathon weekend when I ran dopey. And I was like, all right, so you going to do another one? He was like, no, I did a half. I'm done. I was like, okay, well then what else are you gonna do? He's like, well, let's run the Boston Marathon. And I was like, okay. He ran one. I was like, you gonna do another one? He's like, I will never do that again. And he means it. I'm the type, like I say that and then I get over it. He will probably never do another one. Now he might go and do like an Ironman or like some other kind of wild thing. But
Just
he's
to
the
prove
type
he
like
can.
he does one and he's like, check, I'm good. Then I'm over here spiraling. I'm like, okay, what number Run Disney race is this?
That's how Chicago started for us, was I just wanted to be able to say I had done it. I wanted to like check that box. I was like, I've never wanted to, like, I was never a runner. I enjoy Run Disney, but I don't enjoy like I at the time didn't really like just enjoy the idea of just running for running and stuff. And I thought it would just be like a check, but then my boyfriend had this like he wants to run an Ironman someday. So I was like, well, if we're going to run an Ironman, we got to run a marathon to figure out that we can actually do that. So Chicago was that, and
Love it.
now I'm running another marathon. So
Again, everybody reserves the right to change their mind.
my parents think I'm absolutely bonkers for doing it, but
Agreed. Especially when I told folks that I was going to be running Boston, because I found out in February that I was going to be running in April. So it was a very quick turnaround. They were like, you've already done dopey. Like, you don't have to do it. And I was like, yes, I do. And now that I didn't finish, I was like, well, now I have to do it again because now I have to finish. And that was the first thing I remember Jimmy said the next day. He dropped off he like ding dong ditched me. He dropped off a 6-pack of Bud Light, a roast beef sandwich, and French fries. And he was like, you have one day to be sad, and then you've got to start your redemption tour. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And he was like, I know you. And everybody was like, Jimmy said that as soon as everything happened. He was like, well, we all know how Kristen is. She's going to do it again next year now. So everybody get ready to hop back on the bike.
We're ready.
Just can't leave it undone, you know?
Oh yeah. No, and I'm sure that Boston is going to be such like redemption to like that unfinished business with the marathon.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, I can't wait. I will be sitting spiraling on Patriots Day, refreshing my phone like a loon. The way I was this year too, where like the group chats with Kristen and Brianna were going
Yeah.
like, "Oh, like she's doing so good, she's doing so good." Where like the three of us were like separately messaging each other, like
Aw.
spiraling, like everything is like, "Oh my god, she's doing it, she's
Yeah,
doing it."
she's really going. It's funny, so many people, my best friend Meg, she was like, I had people, like random people messaging me. They were like, "Hi, I know you from KG's Instagram. I'm trying to track her. I see that maybe she has stopped." She was like the most random, and they were like, "Hi, I'm one of Kristen's Disney friends." And I was like, "See, this is why I love the Run Disney community though, because people are like, I'm not afraid to go message this random person and be like, I'm tracking Kristen. Is she okay? What is happening?" Like the support from you, Natalie, and just really everybody was incredible, which is why I'm like, I know I can do it. We're gonna get back out there and do it again.
You got this.
Oh yeah. You
I better,
totally
because
got
again, I'm not. This is it.
That's definitely how Ben feels about Dopey, is like, we better get this done the first time because I don't think he wants to do it again.
Honestly, the training for Dopey is like, I feel like where you get into that, especially in that like last 2 months before Dopey, and you're like, okay, I'm trudging through the mud. I can do it. Like you're hitting your simulation weekends. You're going through all these long runs. You're like, why am I doing this? And again, I
Mhm.
think that's where, whether it's like you're running for a charity or a goal for yourself or whatever your why is for that, is so important to be able to go back to, so that you're not like, literally, I don't have an answer for why I'm doing this.
Mhm.
It can be tough. I mean, I know I've texted Natalie numerous times and been like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I think actually it was during the marathon in 2023, and I was like messaging Amanda. I was like sobbing going through Animal Kingdom. I was
Aw.
like, this is it. This is where I die. There's no bananas left. There's
Oh my.
nothing. I'm not going to make it. And everyone's like, just keep going. You're going to be fine. And I was like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I'm doing it so that I can, really fundraise for pancreatic cancer research. Like, why do we have that? We have it because Auntie Kathy started it. Like, trying to really think through like those 5 layers of why, because those are the times that you need it, when you're on a really tough training run, or the weather is really tough, or even like race day is not great, right? Like
Yeah.
we've had those too, where it's like you've got to be able
Mhm.
to talk yourself back into why you're doing it.
For sure. My whole second half of Chicago was miserable. I can't believe I did that.
And then you can look at it and be like, and I did it.
Mhm.
I did that.
It's like the parks are so empty right
Yeah.
now. Why do I have to go to bed? It's so funny. Like it was so I remember getting like messages from Amanda because I did not know I was a sim on her tracker.
Yeah.
And she was
Aw.
like, "You're at this point." I'm like, "That's so
Yeah.
nice. Oh my god." That was so nice. Because I had no idea that she was like that she was gonna track. I'm like, if you try to track me this year, it's still my maiden name.
Yeah.
I'm still so dedicated to the American Girl doll costume because I had a really good idea. I want to do an American Girl doll group costume. Hannah, you can be Samantha. I'll be Nellie O'Malley.
Okay, fine.
Okay. I want to do this so bad.
I love it.
Zeitgeist. I've said this to Kristen, and Run Fit Mama, We Trust Baby. But I like said that I was like, I was like, I need to bring it up in Dopey Strong so that it could be like a big group, like an actual group thing.
Yeah.
People go wild for the American Girl dolls.
Yes. I feel like at Halloween this year too, there was a lot of American Girl doll costumes. So there's got to be
Yes.
stuff out there like you can easily buy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, there is. I found a website. I would have to put Nellie together like myself, kind of, but she is friend of Samantha's. Or for if you were not,
An American Girl girly.
yes, she was because I had Samantha, and then I remember being 9 years old and I got Nellie, and I still think it's very funny that like now like my married name is O'Malley because that was like the doll that I wanted so badly, whatever like. And then now it's like, okay, now you're Natalie O'Malley.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. But that's just how it all worked out. It's like, well, yeah, like Eleanor. I was like, yeah, no, it all works together because it's a doll from my childhood. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. It's funny because I feel like I need to give a penance for that marathon in 2023. So, for the listener, KG and I ran together for about 4 miles of the marathon. We ran down Main Street together, and it was magical.
We cried running down Main Street together.
Yes. We turned to each other when we were about to turn into Magic Kingdom. We were like, "You gonna cry?" Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna cry. We ran down Main Street. It was magical. We waited for the bathroom, and when I left the bathroom, I was like, I waited for a little bit. I'm like, she probably already went, like I totally get it. Like, you want to make sure you don't give up your whole buffer. So I left. And then I don't think you had left yet. And then as you've said, like over time, you're like, because you didn't have your fuel. I'm like, oh my God, I should have waited. I feel personally responsible that KG didn't have fuel because I always have extra. And I was at the time not feeling super well anyway, fueling super well anyway. So like, it was maybe every 45 minutes if I remembered. So like I definitely would have had extra. So now I feel like a little like angel, or now like I either make sure I have extra, or B, because I'm not the biggest fan of the sport beans. I like, if I hear somebody like talking about fuel on course, like I grab them and then I give them to someone else.
Yeah, I got them.
Hey, do you want mine? And somebody was absolutely bamboozled during the marathon last year. It was at mile like 19 and a half. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I don't usually take them. So like, I'll take them. If I don't give them away,
Yeah.
I will use them. It's not like it just goes in the trash. Like I use them. I just don't love it. But they're like, oh my God, thank you. Like, it's like my penance for like, because I'm like, I have felt bad about that since.
Oh my gosh, that was tough. And it was one of those moments where like it was halfway through and I was like, I feel so good. This feels great. And what happened was my best friend had a backpack full of all of my stuff to like take and bring with me. And I just blew right by. So it is nobody's fault but my own. And then in the bathroom, it took me I was like, sometimes it takes forever to get your leggings back on.
Yes.
Especially mid-race. And then you're like panicking. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I came out and then I was like waiting. I was like, I feel like maybe she already left. Totally fine. But it was like literally not until I went probably past Be Our Guest, or like even further than that, like maybe going through by Splash Mountain. And I was like, oh no. I did not stop at Meg for any of my things. So I finished the whole rest of the marathon with a half a bag of fruit snacks.
Oh my God.
Which still sometimes I'm like, what? Like how? I don't even know how I did that. And I remember getting to the Tower of Terror and they were handing out chocolate. And I probably scared the crap out of this woman. So I was like, how many of those can I take? She was like, girl, you can take as many as you want. And I was like, thank you. It was like melting in my hand. I was like, I don't even care. Like, I was just like, I will eat anything. Because in Animal Kingdom, we like ran up to the table and it was just peels. Like, there was no bananas. And people were like screaming. They're like, where's the bananas? And I was like, I don't know. It was like chaos. And like now, I can't even like get through the story without laughing at now, thankfully. But at the time, I was like, this is where I die. Like, no one, this is it. Like, truly, this is it. Goodbye, everyone. It was so nice to know you. Like, I'm not leaving Animal Kingdom. But you know what? Then you make it through, and you're like, it's all gonna be fine. The magic of Disney.
True. During the marathon that year, because I forgot. I always say that the only thing I forgot going into that was my ID for my post race beverage, but I also forgot a cooling towel. And the entirety of the 17 miles leading up to Animal Kingdom, I'm like, I think I know where there's a cooling towel cart, like right off course. Like, like basically like where you could see it, not like going too far into shenanigan land of like really diverting off course.
Yeah.
But I visualized that cooling towel for the entirety of those 17 miles, and then I did not see a single car with a freaking cooling towel.
You're like, of course.
Like, no. But then I got on Everest and I forgot about it. So the unplanned Everest trip where I was like, I'm just going to go switch out my fuel rod. And then it turned into a walk-on for Everest during the marathon, and that was fun.
Wild.
So I also did kind of peek around to see if there was a cooling towel in there. There was not. Maybe there is now, but remember your own cooling towel, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't forget it now since.
Or when someone tells you to keep the sponge that you get
Oh,
on court,
yeah.
keep the sponge, because I tossed mine and I
What is this
quickly regretted it.
sponge?
The sponge. They give out sponges. They're not cheese, but you're Delulu enough by mile 18 that it kind of looks like cheese. But they'll give you a sponge
Like a
if it's hot.
sopping wet sponge.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
okay.
people were like, stick one in your sports bra, put one in the back of your neck, like take them. And then what people were also doing that was so smart, because eventually I was like, I can't even like hold this. Like, you know, when you get to a point in the race where you're like, I don't want anything touching me. I don't want to hold anything. Everyone just get away from me. I threw the sponge, and then we got to the next water stop, and people were like re-soaking their sponges. And I was like,
Mm.
that was a really smart idea. So hang on to the sponge somewhere that it won't bother you so that you can reuse it. I mean, people were like, it was so hot. People were like wringing it out over their heads. And it was so smart.
Well, I'm glad I heard this before I ran, so.
Yes.
Something else is that sometimes at the med tents, people will like grab ice, whatever, and they're getting ready to like, discard it because their knee feels better, whatever.
Yeah.
I picked up like an ice bag. There was somebody who was like starting to toss. I'm like, hey, can I grab that? And I just like kind of put that under my hat.
Yeah.
And like just to keep my, because I'm like, they're like, yeah, okay. Like, because I didn't feel like I needed to grab like a whole thing of ice for myself. But that felt so good to have that under my hat that during the marathon.
Yeah.
I that's another repressed thing that I forgot because I knew that I obtained the ice and then I got rid of it before we got back into the parks for the last couple miles. But it was somebody like was like starting to drop. I'm like, hey, can I like, this is weird, but can I have that? And they're like, yeah, sure. And I remember
during a race, nothing's weird.
Nothing's weird.
No. We're all friends here. Everything's great.
Yes.
We're all too Delulu to be paying attention to what you're doing anyways.
100%.
Exactly. It's like day 4 of Dopey. It's everyone's, if you're chafed, like we're just all we're all in certain spot. Don't lick the popsicle sticks, everyone. But
one of Ben's favorite comedians talks about that in his first marathon. He didn't know about like the Vaseline or whatever on sticks and he ate it. So
oh God.
Oh, that just I feel like I would probably
I like how I'm laughing and you're both cringing.
I would probably just be like, I would probably be trying to figure it out. Like now I know, like don't lick what you get in a med tent.
At least it was Vaseline and not like BioFreeze or something. Can you imagine?
Even
be minty
worse.
Minty fresh. Can you imagine doing that
until
stretch?
It burns?
Yeah, on Western Way with like a mouthful of like BioFreeze or Vaseline. Like you're heading into the Blizzard Beach parking lot and you wish that the coolness was only just like a little like weird freaks in Florida snow, but it's actually the BioFreeze you accidentally ate.
Yeah.
We've gone from really tasty snacks to forbidden snacks now.
Yeah. But also
don't do it.
If there was a place you were ever going to eat BioFreeze, Blizzard Beach would be it, because there's nothing worse than Blizzard Beach than accidentally eating BioFreeze or Vaseline and then running Blizzard Beach. That's the only thing that probably
That's
make
gonna be
it
my
worse.
That's gonna be my new mantra when I'm running through the parking lot. I'm gonna tell myself, at least you didn't eat BioFreeze.
Yeah, see, then you're like, there we go. Mental, I'm already winning.
If you really want to like, quash that impulsive thought, like just take a Morton. They kind of like their clear jelly. It looks similar. Don't have to eat the BioFreeze. Bring your own popsicle stick. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, now I feel like I should stick a popsicle stick into a Morton gel and put it in the freezer and see what happens. Weird science with Hannah.
This is like a theme of weird things to do with Morton's though, because I have to get to one of the Ox and Spoon, like pick my fuel, because I want somebody to butter their toast with Morton gel. And
KG and I
like
just made
peanut
the same
butter
face.
or like a peanut butter and jelly, like, or peanut butter and Morton jelly, like little sandwich.
I mean, I get it, but also it tastes like sugar. It doesn't taste like jelly.
Yes, but I just want to see what happens. And I'm going to throw some dollary dues their way for that. We're at this point of like, with this whole marathon training thing has been going on a really long time. Like, it's been a long year. It's been one of the
Yeah.
quickest years of my life, but also a long year. So like, we're just in the whole, like, just the pocket of the sillies.
Yep.
Like, one would say dopey maybe with what's next, what's in like a week.
Taper
But
crazies.
yeah. It's funny because like, I feel like most of the taper crazies for me end up being like the whole like, oh crap, like, is my knee okay? Like, I've had no problems even throughout of training, but like, you just feel like crinkly. You just feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, ready to start again. And I am my butt bag in case, like, of what I used to like put all my stuff into after like in the post race shoot. Named affectionately for my butt pocket on my one pair of leggings.
I was gonna say, are we just gonna like cruise by one your Katy Perry reference, and then two that you just called it a butt bag? Like we're just gonna like go right past those?
No,
Go for
none of
it,
the above.
KG.
Yeah.
I've desensitized myself at this point.
Hannah and I have known each other too long.
Literally, like for everybody listening, like no even facial reaction, just like right back there. I
Completely
was like,
straight.
oh, okay, all right, we're going.
Yep.
She mentions the butt bag almost, I feel like, every episode. She manages to find a reason to bring it up, which it is. It is a pro tip. You do need to like stuff a little tiny reusable grocery bag or a regular grocery bag in somewhere on your person for the shoot. But yeah,
I will say Crown Athletics actually sells one for like
they're
I don't know,
cute.
$4, $5, $6 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that. It's basically like a grocery bag, and it folds up, but it comes in a little pouch with a button. And I put that and my ID and my debit card in it, and that goes in my leggings pocket on my leg, not a butt pocket. So maybe it's a leg bag for me and not a butt bag.
Oh, regardless of where it is, it's the butt bag. That's like how it's written on my packing list is butt bag, because that makes me remember what it is versus just I have trash bags for my dirty laundry. I have like extra bags sometimes for the room because I know that I drink a lot of water. So
Yeah.
to like bag them and make it nicer for housekeeping to pick up. But no, that one is, and it's not even, I'm not reusing the same butt bag. Like it's just Target bag, a Hy-Vee bag, whatever bag. And it's, to me, that triggers what it is. If I call it, regardless of whether or not it goes in the vest, it goes in my pouch, it's the butt bag.
I love it.
We can thank my yellow leggings that made their debut at Marathon Weekend 2023. And I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to use these like once or twice. They've made it back to almost every Run Disney race weekend with just a butt pocket. No side pockets.
There you go.
None. But, you need duck legs, yellow, or those leggings. I wore it for the Brave Little Tailor Mickey. That was their origin story. Wore it for Mrs. Banks. Wore them for Pooh Bear. They won't die.
Yeah. You got them for
And they're
Belle. You can do them for a lot.
I have an idea for Princess. Not a princess, but a lady adjacent character. But I have an idea to bring them back. It's just I need to find a yellow top that I like. I have some ideas
Love it.
of, because they're just not going to die at this point.
That's one of the best things you can have, though, is like any legging setup, whether you like shorts, skirts, skirts, leggings, crops, anything that you can reuse from multiple outfits is huge.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Big on
starting to
that.
get sad because my very favorite pair of running shorts are starting to like get to their end of life and they don't sell them anymore.
Oh,
It's tragic, really. I think it'll make it through this marathon and that's it.
Oh no.
I know.
that is so sad.
I have left many a costume and running pieces in the Disney resort trash barrels, or even in the park trash barrels as well. We're like, I'm gonna get a couple photo pass photos, and then this thing is going right in the trash.
Or it becomes my treasure, like that one person who handed off her Mrs. Nesbitt costume pieces. Legend.
Never forget.
I will never forget. And I thought of her the entirety of the 5K at Wine and Dine this year. Kind of as we're talking about costume stuff. what's your costume philosophy? I mean, like, I do know the answer to this question, so this is more for other people than me. But
You say that as if most of the questions aren't for other people.
that's true.
I am very much so a like comfy girl. I don't know how people run in wild and crazy costumes. I am obsessed with them. I'm impressed by them. I just don't think I can do it. I I just need to be comfortable when I'm running, so I don't like to have a lot of layers. I usually do like I initially started with kind of just like themed clothes, so like a themed shirt, pair of ears. I feel like I can't be in the parks without ears. Like I feel naked without ears. So I usually have some ear or like headband on. Princess the last couple years I think is like a good quintessential example
Yeah.
of like my costume style where Wreck-It Ralph and Ralph Breaks the Internet are like up there as like some of my newer favorite movies. And if you've seen Ralph Breaks the Internet where there's the comfy princess squad, I've done for each race the comfy version of that princess for all the races. And at first I was like, I don't know if anybody is going to know what I'm wearing. The amount of people that were like, that is genius. I love that outfit has been like, I was shocked at how many people like knew every single one that I've worn so far. And you'll see them at Princess Weekend upcoming because I'll be doing the same thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I already love a theme with yourself.
Yes.
Like, I really like a group costume too. Like, this is the first year I'm dabbling into group stuff, but like, I love a theme with yourself where you are the theme.
Yep.
And I love it.
And especially when it's one that like doesn't take a lot, right? Like
Mhm.
I have a good rainbow selection of leggings that I feel comfortable running in that I would wear to the parks. And Ralph Breaks the Internet was like such a big merch drop for Disney. They actually have tank top and t-shirt versions of the shirts that the princesses wore. So you can
Oh.
usually find them either at like Kohl's or Target, like one of those like random offshoots of like the Disney drops for those. And if not, people make them on Etsy. So like it's a super
Mhm.
easy legging, shirt. Sometimes I've worn ears with them, sometimes I don't. For Princess, was it this year? I literally feel like I don't even know what day it is. I think it was Princess this year was on it was Frozen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, I think that was this year. I did Anna, and they had the Anna ears at the expo. So I already had the rest of the costume, and I was like, "Oh, that's perfect. I'll just wear those in addition." And that was actually the year I had because I had a flannel on. And once we got into Magic Kingdom, I was like, "This thing is going straight in the trash." And so I was like, "You're throwing that away?" I was like, Can you see it?" Yes, it's going in the trash. The thing is disgusting. I was like, "Absolutely, this is not going to make it another 6.5 miles, and I definitely don't want to smell it by the time I get to Epcot." So it's going in the trash.
Amazing.
But yeah, comfy is my jam. I've done a couple costumes that have been a little bit more like real costumes, I feel like. For Disneyland with all the Run Fit Mama folks, we did Goofy's Kitchen. So I like had
I
a
was obsessed.
it was so cute and that was really nice because like somebody else did all of the setup and Kristen was like, "Who do you want to be?" And I was like, "I don't care. Who do you have left? Like who do we need doubles on?" Um and Vern from Runs on Pizza made all the costumes for everybody. It was unbelievable. And it was really just like, again, a shirt. It had a little like tie piece that I'm pretty sure I wore wrong the entire race. And then a hat. But it was like a baseball hat that had a chef piece on top of it. So
Oh.
it was like velcroed on how she put it together. It was so, so smart. So it didn't feel heavy. Like I just can't do heavy, clunky
Yeah.
things. So, but I'm always like unbelievably impressed by what people run in at Run Disney. Like,
Oh,
I'm like, I
yeah.
don't understand. And funny enough, the Boston Marathon. So I used to work on Boylston Street, and I worked at the Apple Store, which was the flagship store in Boston. So it was like a 3-floor big glass front store. So
Mhm.
Marathon weekend was like the best weekend to work, and Marathon Monday was the best day to work because like the store was empty. But you got to watch so many of the people running the marathon. And I'll never forget, like, every year there would be, like, all these people in, like, T-shirts, tank tops, and then one random dude in, like, a hot dog costume. And you're like, what is there's a hot dog running down Boylston Street. What is happening? Or something like a French fry costume, right? Like some incredible charity runner dressed in a costume that you're like, I don't even know how you ran in that. That has always been fascinating to me. And I think the Run Disney community is just so incredibly creative. And whether they DIY or they buy them, they're just unbelievable. Like, that's one of my favorite parts, actually, I think, about the weekends. And even I feel like since my first race in 2019 in person, every year, every race weekend, they get bigger, they get crazier, they get more like intricate. I'm always just mind blown by how creative and like how well put together a lot of those costumes are.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing to see people just what they come up with.
Mhm.
Like, how did they even pop into your brain?
Right. And they
And I
light
love
up
it.
and they move and they spin. Like, they're not just like, wearing something small. Some people are in like big, big pieces, or like, they're essentially carrying something
Yeah.
for the
I saw
whole
someone dressed
marathon.
as the Pixar lamp once.
Yes, I
That
remember.
was nuts.
And his turned on
Yes.
because I think they interviewed him at like at the front of the race.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was I think that was Springtime Surprise 20 whatever the year was that it was
23.
Yeah.
That you did it.
Yeah. She remembers. I don't know when I ran anything.
It's so funny. I feel like we talk about that a lot because like Natalie will remember like the course and the changes, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I did not run that, and she's like, you did, you ran that race, and I'm like, are you sure? I think I blacked out. I don't know. Like, you could tell me that I ran this way, that way, and then like hopped through Spaceship Earth, and I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it like leaves my mind, and like truly, Natalie and Amanda are the two that are like, nope. You've definitely run that course before. Here's a picture to prove it. And I'm like, oh, thank God for
Oh,
you
wow,
guys,
that's
because I
neat.
don't remember.
Because that's
Yeah.
how I have been in the past too, where it's like I almost attribute like better feeling to remembering all this stuff now.
Ah.
Because I remember being asked after my first Princess Half, like, oh, so where did the course go after Main Street? And I went,
Outside the park?
but I had some pictures to back me up. I'm like, oh, we did go back by like Ariel's Grotto because that's where Sebastian was. I remembered that part
Yeah.
because you don't see Sebastian the crab everywhere.
Yep.
But I remember going, I don't know. I didn't fuel until after I left Magic Kingdom. That's to talk about how not good at fueling I was and
Yeah.
how, that's just how it went.
And look how
But
far
I
you've
remember,
come.
I know, and how it's like the little catalog of like I save Amanda's bathroom screenshots.
So important.
It's like that's like
The
before
Bible.
I lose. It is. And that because it's that I know the parks. I know the parks well. But like, is there a potty opportunity?
Yeah.
Like, I have to just know if it exists
Yes.
without diverting too far off of the course. Because they get mad. And then, because I used to tell people about the TTC, but now the last couple of times we passed the TTC, they don't let runners go into those bathrooms. I'm like, skirt, I'll hold it.
Or even just knowing
away.
which ones have like a couple of stalls versus ones that have like two sides full of stalls. Like, that is very important knowledge to have when you're potentially panicking that you might not see another bathroom for another mile.
Oh, yeah. The Skyliner bathroom saves lives. Because that one's like a deceptively big one. It's beautiful. The American Adventure bathroom saves lives because that's another deceptively big one. So like the Ratatouille bathrooms are not too big. It's where meltdowns happen is the Ratatouille bathrooms. But and then that's how Dopey's happened too. Because I remember going like the meltdown I had during my first Springtime Surprise, not meltdown, but I was like taking an ibuprofen. I'm like, I'm in like pain. Like, I don't know how people do Dopey. And then 2 weeks later I signed up for Dopey. So like, I'm like, this is 3 days in a row. And it wasn't even 3 in a row because of the challenge was Thursday night. Friday was off. And then it was Saturday, Sunday. I'm like, I don't know how this happens for people. And then Delulu brain kicked in of like oh, if I'm going to run, I want to run a marathon anyway. And what if I hate the marathon? Then that's, I was with somebody who's going to run the 5K and the 10K. So I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Miss the half? No.
Yeah. What do we do? Like sleep?
Sleeping? Sleeping? What's that? It's super funny. There's one more kind of topic I wanted to talk about in your like DVC origin
Ooh,
story
yeah.
because I'm really curious because neither of us are owners. My parents owned when I was younger, and so I know like enough to like get myself around like topics. So I'm
Mhm.
curious like what your origin story, like how it's been working for you for Run Disney, and kind of to dig into that.
Yeah.
I know almost nothing, although I did get a DVC pitch this week on the phone. So
Ooh. How did you get into that?
I don't know. I don't know how they got my number, but they called me.
Interesting.
They're like, "We know you have a stay coming up. Would you
Oh,
like to
yeah.
book
Mm.
And I was like,
No thanks.
The tour is fun.
Yep, something to do. Usually they give some good swag at those too, which is nice. So I have always been an all-star girl. Value
Okay.
resorts, like I'm not really staying much like at the resort itself. I'm usually at the park all day, especially during a race weekend. I'm up early. For the shorter races, I'm usually still at the parks like fair later than Natalie. I'm not like a super not a super like grandma dinner type.
So what you're saying is you aren't the bedtime warden. Got it.
No. But then every time I wake up and Natalie's already on the bus. So,
Mm.
you know, she's always there far before I am. But then
Even rooming with her, that's a similar experience, so don't worry.
but then sometimes she's at the parks. I'm like, girl, how are you still at the parks? What are you doing? So you never know.
The caffeinated gel.
Yeah.
All the heavy lifting.
I love it. So yeah, I've always been a value girl. I'm just not someone who's going to spend a ton of money on a stay when I know I'm not really going to be in the room. I'm not really going to I'm not a big pool person. If I'm there, I probably want to be at the parks. And once I started really going a lot as an adult, Jimmy, my brother, who is my best and worst enabler, was like, "Why don't you have Disney Vacation Club?" And I was like, "I don't know, I've never really looked into it." He ended up getting DVC and then told me about resale. So you don't have to buy Disney Vacation Club directly through Disney, which I think is a misconception that a lot of people have, and that it's like wildly expensive. It's still expensive, but you can buy into DVC without it costing like $30,000, $50,000. And when I thought about it and I kind of poked around at the different DVC sites and costs, DVC resale market has been fantastic. I've had them on my podcast a few times and they've talked about all the different parts of DVC. They're incredible. I highly recommend them. That's who I bought my contract through. And I bought at Bay Lake Tower because they usually say try to book or buy your home resort, like where you'd really like to stay. Like I said earlier, Magic Kingdom is my favorite place in the world. So I was like, this is great. I can book 11 months out. I can walk to Magic Kingdom. I'm in. And when I figured out points wise what I was going to spend for cash stays versus buying resale for DVC, my contract is good until 2060. I was like, okay,
That's so
that's
long.
such a long time, right? I was like, I mean, I hope I'm still going to Disney by 2060. And I was like, I can usually get, at least probably 2 or 3 trips out of 100 points. That's what I bought as a 100-point contract. So I was like, that's definitely something that I should look at. And I will say DVC, whether you buy resale or direct, the key is how many points you're going to get and finding how many points works for you. And then you get, like I said earlier, add-on itis comes in. You're like, I'm going to get another smaller contract and add on 25 points or 50 points. And it kind of can spiral from there. But finding what you really want to use it for and then go from there is huge. So for me, with 100 points, I've been able to get at least one like week long trip or a couple weekend trips, and then each March, I do a March Madness style bracket for the podcast. And
Mhm.
the winner wins usually a weekend stay on my DVC points. So I usually get a weekend there. And then for actually my Boston Marathon fundraiser coming up, we're doing a 3-night stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So I've been able to not only like use it myself, but then again, use it for like other fun things like fundraising opportunities for a race. We basically sell raffle tickets for it, and it's one of the biggest fundraiser like raffle items of the night. And then, doing something fun and giving back to my podcast listeners with Mouse Madness has been pretty awesome. That's made Mouse Madness really big every year, which is exciting. But I definitely am at the point where every year I'm like, I want to just buy more points. Because like I said, I'm so used to staying at All Star, and then Jimmy and I used to always do what we used to call bro sis trips. It'd be just the two of us running around the parks. And when he was in the military, we stayed at Shades of Green a couple times, which I really liked. We did a family trip and stayed at Port Orleans Riverside. And I was like, okay, like starting to like go into like moderate resorts. And then I was like, I just still can't imagine like paying that much for like how often I go. Like if I'm gonna go 5 or 6 times a year, that's a lot of money. That I was like, I could put into a contract, and again, is good till 2060. So it's like you pay this one-time fee, and then I get 100 points every single year, and I can guarantee I'll get at least a few trips out of that. The first stay that I did, or like big stay, was actually for the marathon 2023, and I stayed at Old Key West, and it was awesome. I got the whole week, and it was a 1-bedroom, so it was huge. And Old Key West is the first DVC resort, so everything there is massive. And because it's a little bit older, you can get your stay for usually less points. So you could get it for like 9 points a night. So if you have 100 points, that's like pretty cheap, right? Or like Animal Kingdom might be like 15 points a night. Bay Lake Tower sometimes is like 18 points. So it all depends on where you're going to stay, when you're going to stay, and you can kind of figure out what point range works for you. But I am a big advocate of, I say all the time, I will not tell anybody how to spend their money. If you want to buy direct through Disney, like good on you, go do that. They do have certain perks that you can only get with your DVC contract if you buy it through Disney. They do also have a minimum. So I think right now the minimum I think is like 150 points. So you can't buy anything less than that if you go direct, as I say, like if you buy it from the mouse. Versus on resale, you could buy like a 25-point contract or a 50-point contract. And kind of like some people I know will start small and then see kind of like how it ends up working out with their schedule, and then either add on from there or change. But I love it. It's been great. And I would say too, I think the fact that I have an annual pass with my DVC as well, I don't really miss out on a lot of the direct perks, because like anything, they always say like, they're not guaranteed. They could change it at any time. We know Disney loves to change things whenever they see fit. So, whether it's merch, dining discounts, you get all that stuff with the annual pass as well. So for me, I was like, it makes more sense for me to save like $30,000 by resale, and then my $1,400 or $1,500 annual pass in addition to that. And it's one of those things too where it's like I also know I'm very lucky that I'm able to afford to do that, and have both an annual pass and a DVC membership. So something that I've tried to prioritize because of how often I do go, whether it's a race weekend or taking my niece or nephews or going on a girls trip or going on a solo trip, what I also love to do. So big fan of DVC.
Do you have one of those, what are they called? They're like locker cubby things
An owner's
that you can
lockup?
those
Sure
things.
do. I am also a rave fan of owner's locker. That's one of the things that, if you don't know what an owner's locker is, it's basically like this big plastic tote, and this company is so smart, like genius. You have your tote. There's 3 different plans of how much you pay per month, and then if you have to pay, they will drop your locker off at any resort in Orlando. So it's not even just Disney resorts. Like you can do it off property, you can do it on property, Universal, anywhere. And you can leave, within reason, anything in your owner's locker, and they drop it off, they pick it up, they store it for you. And it's been so nice to just have toiletries or a lot of my Run Disney stuff, to be honest. I leave all that stuff down there. And now when I go on my girls' trips, they're like, do you have that in your box over there? Do you have XYZ? I'm like, I sure do. Because there'll be like one random race weekend. Like, oh, I wish I had this.
Mhm.
Like, send it over on Amazon or do an Instacart, and then I leave it in my owner's locker. And it also takes almost like this big chunk out of my suitcase every trip
Mm.
because you can just leave
Yeah.
it all there. I actually was
Yeah.
just thinking on my next trip, I really need to like purge some stuff that's in there, I think, and kind of shuffle a little bit because
Different
like I'll
stuff.
leave like a pair of ears and sandals and sweatpants, things that like you also don't want to forget. I know my brother
Mhm.
and sister-in-law, they have like blankets in there and extra fans. Like people leave all sorts of stuff in there. Or if I'm going for marathon weekend and I know I'll be back for Princess and I don't eat all of my fruit snacks, or we buy a bag of Doritos and never open it, and it's good past that date. I'm not going to waste it. I'll put it back in my owner's locker. Then I come back and like, look at that, get a bag of blue Doritos ready to go. Or I've got, half of your fuel if it's still good, between that trip. So it's a huge, huge lifesaver. And if you have a DVC membership, you get a discount on an owner's locker.
Ooh,
At least when you first
very
get it.
cool.
I don't know if I honestly don't even know if I still have a discount running on it, but it is well worth whatever I'm paying for my owner's locker.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I
Leave the beer cup.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Natalie, if you got one and all that lived in your owner's locker was your beer cup.
That would be so exceptionally on brand. However, I can think of like a bunch of other things that can also live there, but it would be for the meme of just putting like a beer cup in there. I do use them at home
Yeah.
every so often. Just, like it's a
I have
good
one
cup.
around
Like
here.
if I'm spinning some like a
No.
little liquid, I'd be.
If the podcast ever becomes like, if we ever turn it into a business or whatever, which it's not, by the way, it's our hobby. But if we ever do, that's our first business expense. Natalie's owner's locker for the beer
There
cup.
you go. Do it for the podcast.
BYOB. See, I do a lot of things for the bit anyway. So, like I do it because it's authentically me, but at the same time, it's like, hee hee, that's kind of funny. That's for the bit.
Yeah.
Like extra pickle shots, like stuff like that, where then you don't have to go transport it. Because I've been waffling on an owner's locker for probably since the first time you brought it up on your podcast, to be quite honest.
Mhm.
I remember listening to like Jimmy's list of things he had in there, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, son of a gun.
Anyone that goes, I would say 2 or more times a year, it is worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my
So-
popcorn bucket in there, like my annual
Yeah.
pass holder one is in there, Body Glide, KT tape, like all that kind of stuff. But in my popcorn bucket, I have my race cup, which I saw from Wine and Dine. I'm not gonna be able to use anymore anyway, so I'm gonna go get another one because I wasn't there for
We'll
that.
see.
But I had my annual pass holder bucket. I have my beer cup in there. And then inside there, what I also always have, which is maybe a me thing, but plastic silverware from whatever cafeteria is at your hotel, ketchup, salt packets, napkins, all the
Oops.
things like if you got your mobile order, you just finished your race and you got back and you showered and you sat down to eat and you're like, oh, I didn't bring a knife. Oh, I didn't bring maple syrup for my
Mhm.
Mickey waffles. All those little things that I'm always like, if I get back to my room and I'm like, I forgot this, 99% chance it is now in my owner's locker. Again, if it's something that, can live in
Brilliant.
perpetuity. But those kinds of
Amazing.
things that like sometimes you get there and the fork dispenser's empty. I'm like, I got a couple in my owner's locker. Like, you know what I mean? You can have those little things, safety pins, bib boards, all those things that you're like, if you got to the race and you're like, oh no, I forgot X at home. Now I'm gonna have to go buy it at the expo. All of those extra things, extra socks. I keep all of that stuff in my owner's locker. Magic bands, the new chargers for the Magic Band Plus.
Yeah.
It is just, you can literally put anything in there.
The wheels are turning so hard right now. I'm somebody who has a desk hot sauce. I actually have two
Yeah,
because but this sounds like the ultimate version of my desk hot
there you
sauce.
go.
So
My desk tweezers.
we have an open office concept, so no one's really supposed to like leave stuff, but I'm there 5 days a week, so no one sits at my desk. And I have one of these it's on wheels. It's got like a file folder system, except I don't have file folders. The whole bottom is snacks, ketchup,
Yes.
Chick-fil-A sauce, uh peanuts, like
I love it.
random snacks and condiments. A lot of Taco Bell sauce in there, actually.
I love
Like
it.
a lot. And then the top is like actual office stuff, but the whole bottom 3/4 of it is all those kinds of things, silverware, all that. So really,
Love it.
this is my test
Yeah.
run for an owner's
There
locker,
you
is
go.
my office locker.
Yeah, it's so smart. They give it to you where like it closes and then you zip tie it shut. It has little numbers on it. So like I always write down what those numbers are in case something happened. You'll know if it was opened or not. But anything that you're like, oh, I wish I had extra this or that, or you wish when you get down to the park, you're like, if I was at home, I would have this, but because I'm not, I don't have it.
Mhm.
Like random things that I've purchased, a thermometer. How many times have you, like after a race, where you're like, oh, I really don't feel great? And it's probably just your body being like, what did we do? Take your temperature. Or on my last trip, this I think is a good example of the most random thing that I've purchased that I have in there. Have you ever seen any of those like pill shaver things for your clothes?
Oh, yeah.
I have one of
Oh.
those in there because sometimes whether it's like your leggings or your shirt, like something will be like pilled and it'll drive me nuts. And I was like, I'm just gonna order one with my Instacart order. So I ended up ordering that one from Target, have it in there, and then when I got home, I was like, I actually need one of those also now at home
Mhm.
because I think it was a game changer. But you know, it's like random things like that. Toenail clippers was a big one that after race
Oh,
weekends, I was like, I need thousands of band-aids, right? Like all those things. You're like, if I was at home, I would have it,
Mhm.
and then you don't have to travel with it.
Epsom salts.
Epsom salt was a
So you
big
don't have
one.
to worry about taking those on the plane.
Yes, that was a big one for
Jeez.
the year that I did all of the race weekends and I did my like quote unquote perfect season. Epsom salt was a big one. I had that and I had like in a plastic bag in there.
Detergent. Like, oh man, we're cooking here. All right, now the final thing is let's plug your show.
Oh, yeah. What about
3,
it?
2, 1, go.
I said, what about it?
That's not the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a different podcast
Different
that I
show.
enjoy.
another great podcast. Yes. Yeah, the show is great. It's a little bit of everything. When I first started the podcast, I actually had gone on as a guest at my friend's podcast. And she's like, I want you to just come on and like talk about planning a Disney trip. And I was like, me? Why? And she was like, you know, you're like my go-to Disney person. And after the episode, people were like, I would listen to you talk about Disney on your own podcast. And I was like, what? Like, what are you guys talking about? This is crazy. And so many people had said it. So I like put it out there like, would people actually listen to that? And I already had Living the KG Life as an Instagram account from actually a work project. And then I just kind of used it as like my public account, which kind of then turned into a Disney account anyway. And I was like, "Oh, I already have kind of like a handle and that could be kind of fun." So it initially started as like tips for planning vacations. And then I was like, but there's so many other things that we could talk about. And I said that to Jimmy initially. I was like, I don't know if I should do it. He was like, well, if you can make a list of things that you would talk about that could be episodes, then try it, see what happens. And so I put together an initial list and I was like, all right, I have 60 ideas. And he was like, 60 ideas? Like, I thought you were going to say like 10. And I was like, but there's so many things that you can talk about, you know, DVC, Run Disney, planning a trip, resort reviews, right? Like all these things. And then what I love the most is having people on because everybody does Disney differently, right? So
Yeah.
if both of you came on and we talked separately about how you fell in love with Disney and what you like to do when you go to Disney, your stories would be totally different. And somebody listening would be like, oh, that's why I fell in love with Disney. Or that's what I like to do. Or I didn't know about this milkshake in Tomorrowland, right? Like everybody's always going to learn something new and something different. And I obviously just love to talk to people. So I was like, let's do it. So every episode is usually something different. You'll get a mix of Disney Vacation Club, Run Disney, trip recaps. We do a lot of those. Recently, I've had a lot of folks on talking about just like wild or random things. Like we did one recently with Erin from Erin Goes to the Parks talking about characters in the parks and
Loved it.
different like character meet and greets and character dining. And again, there's like all these different kind of like tiny niche things that you can find within Disney that are fun. And we talk a lot with folks who either were cast members previously, did the Disney college program. So it's really kind of like any part of Disney that you love. There's probably an episode about it, or there's probably an episode on the books coming up about it. And if you just like to make new Disney friends, it's a fun one to find lots of new Disney friends. 'Cause I feel like everybody either has their own podcast or has an Instagram account, TikTok following, YouTube channel. everybody just loves to support everybody, which is, I think, the part
Yeah.
that I've really loved about the podcast the most is,
Yeah, it's a good community.
yeah, I've made so many fun friends. I mean, Natalie, you're one of them from like podcast, Run Disney, like, and that really become like true friends. You know what I mean? Not just like random people that you see here and there, but like people that you really enjoy spending time and talking to. So it's been a lot of fun.
I'm
We
slowly working my way in.
come on in, the water's warm, and there's
Oh yeah.
always weird things with people, but like I think when you find the right people that you want in any community that you want to be friends with and you want to build a connection with, I think Run Disney and the Disney Instagram community especially, I feel like it's just so welcoming and everybody has been so
Yeah.
fun. This year has definitely been I would say probably the most different. It was like very consistent from the start of the podcast till probably around the Boston Marathon for me. It was really hard after not finishing the race. I was saying to my therapist not too long ago, it was like probably the closest to like a depression kind of state that like I've probably ever been in, because I was like, it was just such a hard, big public failure, or at least like that's how it felt for me. And then it was just like a really hard thing to like want to get back into. So I took a little bit of a break and kind of like had some ups and downs in terms of like I would drop an episode here and there, and then took again a little bit of a break to just kind of like reset like what I really wanted the podcast to be about. And the last couple months have been exciting. We've got new episodes out, and it's been so nice to have people reach out that were like, "Hey, I really love having you on my runs with me," or "I'm so glad that you're back in my car." And it's been really nice. I think it's very easy too to feel like, nobody really cares. Like nobody really wants to hear what, is on my show anyway. But again, the Run Disney and Disney podcast community has been so supportive that it's been a lot of fun. So I'm glad to still be around, glad to have people just still excited to come on other people's podcasts like yours, and it's been awesome. So
I'm so glad you're back. Your
thanks.
podcast was one of the very first Run Disney podcasts that I ever listened
Oh,
to.
really?
Yeah.
I love that.
So I'm glad to have it back in my car and on my runs as well.
I love it's so funny too, because I feel like I've had folks either like literally during races that have been like, "Are you KG from Living the KG Life?" And I'm like, "Me? Yeah. What's up?" Like, you just don't even think how many people actually listen to. They're like, "It's so crazy. Like, I listen to your podcast on like all my training runs, and like we're on the course." Like, you just truly can build such great relationships with people, and it's pretty incredible. That's my favorite thing about the podcast for sure.
That's amazing.
Hannah had her first Hannah from the podcast moment
Yes,
at Wine and Dine.
I love it.
I did indeed. It was from one of it's so Natalie knows everybody.
She does.
She's the social butterfly, and yeah, we were eating at Satuli's Canteen and some other Run Disney friends that she knew. Shortly after we saw some famous YouTubers, uh, we were talking with them, and they say she introduced me very kindly. This is my friend Hannah, and Samantha goes like Hannah from the podcast.
Yes.
And I was
love
like,
it.
yes, no one has ever said that before, but thank you.
Yes, that is me.
And Bob from Rise and Run keeps telling us that like that's just like a normal occurrence. You got to get used to it. And we're like,
I feel like that's something that I'll probably never get used to. Like, it's
mhm.
just I'm always like, "You actually listen to my podcast?" Like, you and they're like, "I love your
Yeah.
podcast." It's such a fun space, and Bob and the whole crew at Rise and Run are some of my favorite people. They're
Oh,
so nice, they're so welcoming. I actually finally met Bob in person because I used to always miss him at races. He was like, "KG!" Like, he was just like, gave me a hug, and I was like, "Oh, this is just the sweetest thing ever."
Everything. Aw.
it's amazing. The crossovers, the community, the
Yeah.
people. And it's just been my favorite thing about all this. Like, well, why do you keep going back? Like, why don't you take your show on the road? Like, obviously I am taking it kind of on the road
Yeah.
for Chicago in 25, another Chicago baby. But it's so fun because it's like, well, the people, it's like my
Yeah.
friends. Like, and the year you did a perfect season, I didn't do Wine and Dine, but I remember telling my mom, I'm like, after springtime surprise, I'm like, well, I'm sad because now I'm not going to see my friends again for a while. And she's like, well, like, it'll be 6 months and they'll go by. She's like, you've had a lot. I'm like, yeah, like I want to keep seeing the people I care
Yeah.
about, the people I love, the people I,
That make it fun.
Yeah.
oh yeah. It's just seeing like, oh, like I've taken your picture before, for you,
Yeah.
like because we've been like a swap at a character stop, or the group of people who are like Club Run Disney Gold who like all then go into the character lines like as our shopping windows
Yeah.
end. Uh especially like you and I.
Yep.
But it's like the same like group of people. I'm like, oh, I see you guys everywhere. Or it's just amazing. And I love this energy and taking it into 2025 with another race weekend so
Yeah.
close. I just chills
And I feel like
thinking about it.
that was the stuff that I feel like I missed the most too. And similarly, like you said, kind of springtime had just happened, Boston had just happened, and I was like, all right, well, now I don't have anything Run Disney for a while. Like, now what's next, right? And it was initially I'd planned on doing the 5K at Wine and Dine, didn't end up going, but it was like, all right, well, I don't have anything big to like train for and plan for and do all these things. It really, there's so much excitement around all of the race weekends that just make it so fun. Like we say all the time, like, it's not an expo if I don't see you. Like
True.
it doesn't count. We got to do it again. So
Well, if you're looking for a midsummer race goal, the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta is the world's largest 10K.
everybody
And it's right in
loves
my
that
backyard.
race.
So if you want to come, we can meet up.
Yeah, have you done it a bunch? Everybody I feel like raves about that race.
No, considering how long we've lived here at this point, we haven't done it because we've always been traveling for 4th of July to like go see family or go see friends, or we did a fun weekend away with friends once. Like we've never had the opportunity. And they're also starting a second one. They're going to do the
Oh.
summer one and they're going to do a winter one starting this year. And that one's in January or
Oh,
February
that's cool.
coming up.
I know.
And I think people are really excited because it won't be boiling hot
Yeah.
like it is in July.
I said the Oxen Spoon crew just did a big group
Mhm.
for Peachtree this year. So
Yeah.
it seems like everybody's also trying to like you said, kind of like take the groups on the road too, which is nice. Like I know Rise and Run does meetups everywhere. Will Run Forward does stuff. Like it's
Mhm.
just so cool to see everybody doing
Yeah.
their thing and like bringing it bigger than just like the full race weekends in world.
We're also the home of Galloway.
There you go.
My Chicago marathon, I'm part of the Run Disney Villains Take Chicago.
Ooh.
There are over 90 of us
Whoa.
Run Disney runners and it was a record breaking, the biggest ever group that's a fundraise for the American Cancer Society. So there are probably other Run Disney runners fundraising elsewhere, but this is just a
Whoa.
group of, because that's what did it and pushed me over the edge to do it.
Yeah.
Where I was like 85, 90% of the way there because I've wanted to do Chicago for a long time. And seeing that there was a gigantic group of Run Disney people, that's what was the final little push
So
for
it's
me
90
to sign
people
up.
running for American Cancer Society at Chicago.
Yes.
Wow. That's huge.
Like DW is one of them. So they will grace us
Wow.
with their presence. Like
I'm like
and
shocked. That's crazy.
It's giant, and it's a bunch of the people who do DLS. It's Mr. Hash Brown's Brandon Knight. It's just a bunch of those different players. So now I need to do DLS this season at least once because I feel like I need to get to meet my my crew. But it's the largest group that's ever fundraised for American Cancer Society. Just Run Disney Villains Take Chicago.
So you're all gonna dress up as Disney villains for the race, or are we not saying
that?
That
I don't know.
Yet?
That I don't know
Okay.
yet because I don't know like what level of because it's really a lot of the DLS crew being the Run Disney villains. So I hope because I'm kind of hoping to get some of that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I will dress up. I mean, I'm sure I'll do something.
Yeah. Because you can like incorporate it in.
Oh yeah, you know.
Well, and now Crown
but
Athletics has a whole Chicago line.
I know. I know. I need to dip my toe fully. I was about to buy something during their Black Friday sale when they dropped the pinks.
Yeah.
I was going to buy the pink mermaid. I forgot about it and then it sold out before I went. So I need to finally dip my toe into the crowned world because I've been like trolling and I've been like perusing the resales just because I want to like, just in case the size doesn't matter or like it doesn't work out and then like I'll resell it, or I'll do the same thing. But like I've been so like, oh, I just need to get to a pop up
Yeah.
too, and like actually because it's that I can't try it on. That's why I have been so like sketch about, and not sketch because I don't want to say that, but I've been hesitant.
I've
They're a solid business.
It's me.
I have swapped almost all of my workout and running clothes to Crown Athletics. Like
Wow.
leggings,
Wow.
tank tops, their sports bras. I just wear their sports bras all the time. They're just so comfortable.
Wow.
Highly recommend. Yeah, definitely go to a pop-up and like try it, because like even with the sports bras, like the cuts are all different. The tank tops, the cuts are
Mhm.
different. I'm one size in their athletic fit, and then I'm another size in their like loose fit.
The
Yeah.
flows. That's what I think I have gotten to the conclusion that I'm going to be, but I'm like, I don't want to be wrong on the first
Yeah.
one. I need to just do it. I need to just buy it, or like buy a piece that I like and
Yeah.
then get over it. Or if I've been like watching for just different size, but usually by the time
Yeah.
I get to a post in like the buy sell trade, I'm like, she's gone.
And even if you
But I will get
buy
there.
from them too, there are so many people that have discount codes and whatnot too that
Yeah,
Mhm.
you'll get a discount on. There's lots.
I know. I need to just do it as a little treat to myself.
Well, that's going to be so fun to track everybody in Chicago. I don't know how I'm going to track all 90 people just from the Run
The
Disney group, but that's impressive.
Yes. It's so funny because like I love watching the little Sims on the course, because I always track a couple elites as if they're my friends because it's a parasocial
Yeah,
relationship
you got to
here.
know.
And like I need to know how Emma Bates does. Like I need to know how Sarah Hall's doing. I need to know how Des is doing, of course. And like I watch them going around the course, and then it's like my other friends will start. And I'm like, yay! Like,
3 hours later.
yes. Like when like Hannah's little dot was going around the course in 23, like I was watching, I like was, and I'm like, wow, they're pacing so well. Like, I'm like, is this weird? Like maybe a little bit, but I don't care. Cause then I'll like message them. Cause again, that was done for me for my first marathon. Was Amanda tracked us. Hannah tracked me.
Mhm.
Cause I was, she's like, you're almost done. I'm like, I did take a little bit longer of a bathroom break in the Skyliner bathroom. So
I had to
like,
mentally pull myself together to get back out there.
oh no, I just loved myself too much to go into a porta potty at the end of Dopey weekend.
Yeah.
So, it was one of those toddler rules where you if you're thinking about you have to go, you should just go,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because you love yourself too much for a porta john.
Yes,
That's
I went
been-
into one. Don't advise. Do not recommend.
It's been festering too long over this hot weekend. So, all
Woof.
right.
What a way to
Yeah.
end it.
I love it. Well, this has been so fun.
It's been so fun. Well, I think that's an episode. If you'd like to follow along with KG, her handles are Living the KG Life on Instagram, and that is the name of her podcast. So catch it wherever you catch podcasts yourself. If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might be featured on a future podcast episode. We've also started a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you'd like to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes, along with KG's information. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.